and now it's got technicals.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have concerns right now about the officiating the way that you guys are called here right now?
I mean, listen, don't try to bait me into about the officiating. Like, it is what it is on a nightly basis. So I thought, whatever. I don't even know what Nas said to get his. So.
The question fired by Brzezinski, Johnny Athletic, means Johnny K caught a stray from Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Look, don't try to bait me into an officiating conversation, was his response. And we'll get into not only Anthony Edwards and the suspension and the 2 T's and everything, but how the game went last night and some hot basketball action with one of my favorites, Kevin Lynch, basketball analyst for FanDuel, former Mr. Basketball at Bloomington Jefferson in the mid-'80s. Spent 3 seasons in the NBA after 4 at the University of Minnesota. Why do you giggle when I say that?
You're funny. I mean, that's just...
There's nothing funny about... Is this how a week from Sunday is going to go?
Yes.
Because they're going to be
100%.
like 9 points scored in the time that we're like arguing or giggling. But we'll get into that moment.
We'll figure it out. We'll be fine.
But I mean, be proud of that, man. I mean, it's, you don't lack self-awareness. You're not a look at me now kind of guy. But basketball analyst for FanDuel. That's a cool job. Former Mr. Basketball, Bloomington Jefferson, mid-'80s. That's a cool accolade. Making the NBA's a .000000001.
Hey, you forgot 1-0.
For the majority of the country and the world. And you played 3 seasons in the NBA and played with Grandmama and 4 seasons at the University of Minnesota. That's really cool. The Timberwolves lost at the Lakers last night. Edwards is facing suspension. But let's begin with some good. Terrence Shannon Jr. I mean, holy cow. Wow. He had, it's the best game of his young NBA career. But while things were herky-jerky and topsy-turvy and it's weird, Vanderbilt's back off injuries, goading Edwards into technical fouls. J.J. Redick is already in his own head thinking he's a cross between Spo, Pat Riley, and
John Wooden
and Rick Pitino when he was running a press for the Boston Celtics. So he's feeling good about himself. Terrence Shannon Jr. didn't care about any of that. I mean, he was up and down the court, getting in the key, trying to dunk on people. What a night for that young man last night, and good morning.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's hey, the first thing about Shannon Jr., I don't know if you remember this guy, but he plays a lot like this former Gopher player, Vincent Greer.
Right. He's taller than Greer.
No. They're
really?
Both Greer was 6'5".
Wow.
Shannon Jr. was 6'5".
Wow.
And
stocky, too.
Yeah, and just super left-handers are always interesting because, and I deal with left-handed kids at summer basketball camps. Lefties go left more than righties go right. It's a weird, it's got to be something, I don't know what it is, but but he plays like Vincent Greer, just super left-handed, ultra aggressive.
Hold on.
Just tries to get to the basket every time.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about things?
Lefties go to the left more than righties go to the right?
No, I'm just saying that.
That's going to be great.
And left-handed players, just they are, a lot of them are uncomfortable going to the right.
Right.
I'm saying that in the basketball world.
But at this level, if you sit on said player's left hand,
the
chances are they're probably pretty good going right because they've dealt with that A, all of their lives, and B, they're high-enders, and good morning.
So anyways, he plays like Vincent Greer. So just really, puts his head down. And it's almost refreshing because, the last 10 years, ever since Golden State started winning titles, everybody wants to shoot threes. All these young guys come into the league. I remember when Rashad McCants, there's a name from the past, came in from North Carolina, gets to the Wolves, and that guy was athletic, but all he wanted to do was jack up threes. And a lot of these young guys that come into the NBA, that's 7-footers. That's all they want to do is shoot threes. So now you got a guy with Shannon Jr. wants to attack and put his head down and be aggressive and go left and nobody can stop it. And it's good to see.
Speaking of Shoddy, Rashad McCants.
Shoddy. There we go.
Out of nowhere, Shoddy on the Friday Football Feast. I don't, watch or listen to a lot of podcasts, but like they're called shorts, okay? And I don't know if you watch these on YouTube or whatever. Like,
I do
flip
watch
through them a little bit.
Yes.
Well, I saw one the other day with Rashad McCants. It was I think Gilbert Arenas podcast or something. Go. And Boogie Cousins was on one side and Shoddy was on the other. And Rashad was kind of stammering through what his career would have been like, A, if he had better players around him, and B, if he had played a little more. And he said something close to like he would have averaged 26, 27. And like Boogie, DeMarcus was like, hold on here. Let's just stop it right now. So can you say that whole thing again? And then they went back and forth at each other. Rashad was like, bro, what do you mean? Are you saying I can't play? I mean, that
sounds like him. He had a large ego.
It was really cool, man. So Terrence Shannon Jr. Was a positive last night. He definitely had some domination to him. Really on the other side of the coin, let's stick with the positives for a minute with Kevin Lynch. Dante DiVincenzo returned after a month and a half. He was right around a plus 15 and is a welcome addition. So I thought Dante looked pretty good last night. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, limited minutes. What he played, 23 minutes last night. So, they're going to kind of keep him in check for a while just to make sure he's healthy or whatever. But, yeah, made some threes. What was he, 3 from 6 from behind the arc? And, they're going to need him. They're going to need everybody. But, with how much attention Edwards gets when he's in the game or when he's allowed to play, they're going to need guys that can shoot. So there you go. DiVincenzo looked good.
Okay, now as a league-wide positive goes, LeBron James, 33, 17 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 4 3-pointers. And when we chat a little bit about Jaden McDaniels, who has been on a fantastic heater of late, he was so tentative with his defense on LeBron last night, worried about the old guy getting around him. So then we got the jab step, and then LeBron would step back and hit these things from not Caitlin Clark range, but like 26, 27. And LeBron not only was on one last night, had Finch on the radio show yesterday. He said LeBron's defense is the best it's been in at least 5 years. That his defense he's really, really engaged in that. And the Lakers post the Luka deal. I mean, they took that fat L to Charlotte out of the All-Star break. But then in winning their next 3, they were giving up 100 points a game. And when you're giving up 100 points a game and you compensate Luka Doncic to play X amount of minutes during those games, that has to be some really high-end defense right there. So I see what they're doing there defensively. But LeBron James at this stage of his career and life, it's not unfair to say he can play 7 more years, maybe, right?
Yeah,
he's unbelievable.
Yeah, he spends, I read this maybe 10 years ago, $1 million a year on nutritionist, chiropractor, yoga, whoever, massage therapist, all this kind of stuff, or maybe more at this point, but to keep his body, the money is too big. I mean, the guy, he's at what year is he in now? I mean, this is over 22 years. It's unbelievable. Yeah. And he's 40 years old. So he's going to play. I can't imagine, he's not going to, he wouldn't play until he's 45.
First overall pick in 2003. Damn, my man's in his 21st year. Holy cow, at age 40.
Yeah.
He just turned 40 December 30th.
That's right.
Of last year. Yeah, he can. I mean, it's history matters to LeBron James. And, the who's better and why, the cliched summer abyss talker, Jordan or LeBron James, it's kind of over. Simply because of how long because LeBron's equity and the ability to play as long as he has and continue to either be really good or improve on certain things. I mean, that whole conversation's kind of over, isn't it?
I've actually done this a few times. You go to his season-by-season stats and averages or whatever, and it is, in the last 5 years, he's been injured a little bit, and they've rested him a little bit, but for the most part, what he's been available, he plays, and the numbers that he has put up is pretty staggering, and he's still doing it. I mean, name me another guy, Paul, that has played, that's 40 years old that's putting up numbers like this. You remember when Kareem was, 42 or whatever he was when he retired? He was kind of barely moving, and it was like kind of hard to watch. A guy that was so dominant when he was younger in the Showtime Lakers, whatever.
Getting dunked on by Artis Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly. But what LeBron, you just watch him run. I mean, just as an athlete, it's pretty incredible.
Right. And obviously God's gift of size, and then him working on everything else. Quick twitch, agility, coordination, the whole thing. Yeah, he's a gem. And he's been in Los Angeles now since the 2018 season. Played with Cleveland before that, 14 to 18. We had the Taking My Talents to Miami clip for about 4 years. Came into the league with Cleveland, and you're right. I mean, he's at 25 points per game. That's what he averaged last year. 29 points a game, 28.9 in 2022 and 2023. And, outside of Anthony Davis, and now Luka Doncic, what also is benefiting LeBron, and it could have some double-edged sword to it for most people, in that he has to carry a certain degree of a massive load, and he's capable of doing it. But at age 40, you would think if you need to play 35, 38-ish a game after game after game, you would think he would wear down a little bit, and there would be some deficiency, but there's not. So he has Luka. Austin Reeves never has played better. Austin Reeves offensively has really, really settled into a nice player. Rui Hachimura is serviceable. So, and Jackson Hayes is the Covenant's good. The Covenant is clean there right now, man. They lose to Charlotte. They come out of the All-Star break, and think about this. They won 2 of 3, I think, or something like that, or lost 2 of 3 after they got Luka. But it wasn't great, and it was topsy-turvy. It was up and down. And so now during the break, you're going to get a chance to work with each other a little bit. And games at home on a Sunday night, final game of the first Sunday back after the All-Star break. And Crypto.com Clipping Penalty Center is all packed, and they're all wide-eyed. And, hey, they've been working on it for a little while. Watch this. And then they take an L to Nick Smith and the Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, my God.
With all due respect to Charlotte, the team that brought you into the NBA. So that was deflating. Ever since then, I mean, it's the whole thing is just, it's flowing beautifully with these Lakers. Because they're getting better game by game. How far do you think they can take it in a Western Conference that's probably a little wide open?
Yeah, it is. It is. Even Oklahoma City, I think, is going to be vulnerable to some degree. But don't forget, you start talking about the Laker roster. Just the fact that they got rid of D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah.
Was a positive. I mean, I don't want to rip that guy too much, but he was here. But it's like, I don't know. He can't guard anybody.
Yeah,
and
he doesn't care.
And it's all about him. Whatever. But so that was a bet. But
they draft Dalton Connect, JJ Redick. If you read what he said about Connect after they drafted him. I mean, we got a combo here of Jim and John Paxson, Steve Kerr, and Reggie Miller. Okay, well, they don't even give him half a season. They peddle him. How comfortable is that for Connect? He doesn't want to go to Charlotte. Trade is rescinded. Then he has to come back and walk in. Hi, guys. I mean, how weird is that?
I think he called it a movie. It's like I'm in a movie right now of my own life, and it's like, what's going on here? But yeah, that's that guy's turned into a good player. But Jim Paxson, I like that call. That's a good one.
So with the Lakers, how far do you think they can take this? I mean, those are 2 HOFs who are dominating it. Reeves, I think it might have been the first play of the game last night. The Wolves defense, first play of the game, right out of the gate, was a combo of the 85 Bears, 2,000 Ravens, and whatever NBA team you want to go, the Pistons, the bad boys. And shot clock's running down. They're playing great defense. And Austin Reeves pulls up from Caitlin Clark range. It was a logo 3, and he nails it. And I'm like, damn, man, if we're going to play D like that, and then they're going to hit those shots, we're going to be in some trouble tonight.
Yeah. If they keep playing defense like they did to start the game last night, and the Wolves were just off, and they had, every time a team goes to Los Angeles, you got a couple days off before you play. It always kind of makes me wonder what's going on for some of these guys. We've seen it before, but how far can the Lakers go? I think they got a chance to maybe get to the West Finals.
Wow.
Maybe get to the NBA Finals. After the Doncic trade, I kind of thought, you know what? I just think the Lakers still have issues. I mean, LeBron's 40 and he's putting up good numbers, but now seeing what they've done this last, 10 days and last night's game, I'm starting to think that maybe I underestimated what Doncic doesn't play defense, and that's going to be a problem. When one of your top players doesn't defend, that's always going to be an issue, but getting rid of Russell is a good thing. Getting Doncic is going to obviously help on offense. And if LeBron James keeps playing defense like this, I think they got a shot to go deep.
Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels. And this is not in any way running them down because, people are going to have off nights. They just happen to both have them at the same time. And what was really surprising to me last night, and it was a common thread throughout the game, and it impacted Jaden McDaniels' offense. LeBron was up in his head. Now we're talking about HOF here, but McDaniels would have the assignment out on the perimeter, and LeBron's jab step with his left-handed dribble to set up his right-handed shot is still high of high end. And I don't want to say McDaniels was scared, but he did not want to get beat off the dribble and dunked on. He did not want to be part of that TikTok shorty that Kevin Lynch is flipping through at 10 o'clock in the evening. But he gave him too much space, and LeBron was hot from three last night. So then he'd get up close to him, and LeBron would get around him and kick it. And if LeBron was missing last night, he was grabbing like every single one of his misses from a rebounding standpoint. So McDaniels and Naz Reid, they if they were better last night, even without Edwards for a quarter and change, I think the Wolves would have taken it down to the wire. Obviously, the Edwards omission last evening played into the loss, but just overall, Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels without Randall and Gobert. What have you thought of them?
Well, what have I thought of them up to this point? Up until last night was good. I mean, McDaniels has been terrific coming around as far as being a scorer, and so that's good, and he's had to be. So I think that's motivated him. Plus, he sees these young guys, whether it's Clark and Shannon Jr., Dillingham. That always there's always competition between teammates. When you see young guys on your team, especially rookies, having good scoring games, and you're Jaden McDaniels, who's been in the league for now, 5-6 years or whatever it's been, and you see young guys on your team starting to score, and that gets you going, man. So, plus with Randall out, Gobert and others, he's had to score. So they've done a nice job. I mean, Naz Reid's had a good year too. So up until last night, everything has been great with those two.
You weren't here earlier, and we'll talk about this and get into Anthony Edwards around the corner. Wolves at Utah this evening. Kevin, you're on TV tonight, right?
Yes.
With the pre and the post. Wolves 2.5-point favorites in this game. With the game, Anthony Edwards will not be included in. He's suspended for tonight's game because of 16 technical fouls. And we will get into that and what I said earlier, where I just, I'm not a best or worst ever kind of guy, but in thinking about it, NBA and NFL, the officiating in the NFL and the NBA right now, I can argue it's the worst and least consistent that I've seen in all my years calling games or all my years watching both of those sports. And we'll get into that and some more with Kevin Lynch on KFAN.
74-59, 15-point Laker lead. And we'll bring it up here with Dante, Jaden, Naz, and Nikhil. Quickly shoves off on Vincent at the elbow. He fell down to the floor, and then he's tied up. And a technical foul, and Ant's just been ejected from the game. Ant with his second technical. He's been tossed from the game, and he will not be able to play tomorrow night. Come on!
9 to noon.
Good stuff.
The game is over.
Kevin Lynch, FanDuel on TV tonight. Wolves and Utah Jazz, a game that will not include Anthony Edwards. Picked up a couple of technical fouls last night. 16 for the season, suspended tonight at Utah. This indeed is a big problem. It's not just a problem now, it's a big problem because if he gets two more, then he misses 2 games. And we're into like the final 20% of the season. The first one, the first technical, took place when he and former teammate Jared Vanderbilt got into a little verbal spat, and then there was a shove, and Edwards took the metaphorical cheese and shoved Vanderbilt. Well, there's a T. The second one was on what should have been a Gabe Vincent block call. It should have been Edwards is charging to the basket. Vincent still moving his feet, sliding to the left. It should have been a block. It wasn't a block. Their feet got tangled. Anthony fell and was so flabbergasted no foul was called that he cursed at one of the officials, which is an absolute no-no in the NBA. So there's number 2, and now he's ejected, and he's going to be suspended this evening. So with the first one with Vanderbilt, it's whether it's J.J. Redick or Anthony's former teammate, JV, Jared Vanderbilt. And moving forward, pity the coach and or player that does not try to suck Anthony Edwards into tomfoolery and skullduggery, because that's what happened last night. That with that first technical, I bet everything I have, man, that they played him. It's like if you get under his skin, he's going to get a T. That's just who he is. He can't control himself like a temper tantrum throwing child. And the second one, people get together and so he lost his cool. He was on the floor. That's happened to a lot of people. But I think that he and Finch and the rest of the team need to be cognizant that coaches and players are going to try to suck him in to foolish technical fouls. And why wouldn't they? He's a game changer, man. And they made a nice charge at him last night. I think the Lakers kind of took the foot off the metaphorical pedal a little bit. But nevertheless, with Edwards in the game, obviously you have a better chance to win. So he's suspended tonight, man. What do you think?
Yeah, 22 games to go, too. They put up the list of how many techs Edwards has got. He's got 16 now, like you said, and he's got more than Dylan Brooks. He's got more than Draymond Green. Significantly more than both of those guys.
Nordo hit me earlier with he's the first player to amass at least 16 technical fouls before March since DeMarcus Cousins in 2016 and 17.
Really?
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, that guy.
And now, there are tentacles into this, man. It's like Terrence Shannon Jr., okay? He had 3 fouls last night. One of them was abysmal. It was ridiculous. He did not foul the guy, and it plays into the NBA officiating right now. Honestly, Earl Strom, Dick Bavetta, all those guys go crazy, man. The interaction that they had with the coaches, sometimes it would get hot, but there was like a give and take of understanding. It can't be that way now because players are so belligerent to all of the refs, male and female, that these guys have become stoic and arrogant, and they're defending themselves. And so now Anthony absolutely is flashing on that radar, and he's not going to get a 50-50 call when he goes to the basket. He's not going to get one until he starts earning them. And Nordo brought this up earlier, and honestly, I never thought that I would go down this road with Anthony Edwards. This situation is worse than the petulant, impetuous nature of Karl Anthony Towns when he couldn't control himself and kept acting like a child. But he never got it up to 6. He never, we don't identify Cat with a lot of T's.
Right.
It's the foul! And then falling on the ground because he's as 7-footers would go, he's on the ground more than anybody I've seen in the history of the NBA. And now it's 4-on-5 the other way, and we're taking the L. But still, it's Karl Anthony Towns never was suspended for technical, so this is actually worse than it was with Karl. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah, I know. This is my theory with all this complaining. This is a big issue with the NBA, and they've tried to address it, because us fans at home or people working the game, Joe Blow watching the Timberwolves or the whatever team, it's like all these guys complaining, yet they're making so much money. It just a lot of people are very turned off by this. I think a lot of this started, Paul, with Draymond Green. And I think Draymond Green is the most disrespectful player in the history of the NBA and how he treats. Would you agree with that?
I'm not going to argue with that.
I mean, I think he is.
Yeah.
And part of it has been his teammates didn't step up. And this is a team that was winning championships. So, I mean, everybody in this country was watching the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
And so we were kind of and so I think Towns would kind of start to react the way he did towards the refs, because all of us have been watching Golden State and Draymond Green. And then Edwards gets on this team. He sees Towns doing it, and it's just taken off, and it's tough to watch.
Well, with Finchie, very early in his run here, I know for a fact that he and the staff worked super hard with Karl Anthony Towns behind the scenes to like help him stop. You have to stop this because look what's happening.
Right.
They've done that so frequently this year with Anthony Edwards in film sessions. I think Finch has said it publicly, but it's like not just Anthony, but others. Look what happens when you start to go pear-shaped. See this little 5-on-4? Well, they're scoring 82% of the time. And let's say we're minus 105 points over the course of the season when somebody's complaining and yelling at the ref, running up slowly or staying on the ground and just like slamming it. So that's the in-game problem with it. But it's I don't think this is a stretch, Kevin, to say, seriously, shame on Anthony if he gets a technical the rest of the year. I mean, this has to be the bottom. And sometimes, whether it's professionally or personally, I've just learned that identifying the bottom can help you ascend to a new height because you know what it looks like now. And Anthony knows what this looks like. It's I, not thy. It's him and his intentions and his desires first. The thy part is that the team's going to pay for it. Shoot, I mean, you marking in Collins, that feels like they haven't played. They're always hurt. It feels like they haven't played in a year for the Utah Jazz.
Well, are they trying to win anyways? That's
right. And they get Walker Kessler back. He has 8 million rebounds, couple of blocks.
Sexton.
Right. Colin Sexton, right. Jordan Clarkson's going to shoot 32%, but might hit 5 threes. So they're not trying to win.
Right.
And we're 2.5-point favorites tonight without Anthony, without Gobert, without Randall. DiVincenzo will be on more of a minutes restriction tonight. So when you're analyzing this game, it's going to be an interesting one, from McDaniels and Reed having to carry the load and bounce back from rough nights on a back-to-back. But the kids are going to get massive run tonight. Shannon Jr., Dillingham, and so on. So
this whole Edwards, I'm curious to see how this all plays out. Like I said, they have 22 games to go.
Mm-hmm.
Played game 60 last night, and just to see how much discipline. I mean, it's going to take discipline and maturity. I mean, how much restraint is he going to be able to have? I mean, he's just in this groove of complaining so much, and sometimes I get it. He's getting hit and slammed and fouled at times, and not getting whistles. Sometimes that does happen, but this is going to test this kid. Because, he gets suspended for a game, and then he gets a couple more, and he's out for 2 games. I mean, that's devastating for where the Wolves are at right now.
And we got passed by Golden State last night.
There you go.
No, we got passed by Golden State, so in that super special play-in, we're now second.
Right.
We were like hovering right behind the Clippers, and let's not be in the play-in. The play-in sucks, especially when you went to the Western Conference Finals last year.
Right.
But Golden State's at Orlando. They're down 17. Steph scores 22 in the third quarter, makes 12 threes, 12 of 12 from the line, scores 56. I mean, by the way, for context, Steph Curry, 2 technical fouls this year.
Welcome back to the show.
Just 2 technical fouls for old basketball immortality there. So it can happen with these superstars. And, somebody tweeted me, Steph gets Jordan rules. I mean, they give Steph calls. Well, guess Steph's earned that. Okay, some people have guidelines, others have rules. Edwards is in the rules category until he starts figuring out how to get to the guideline area,
So do you think that part of the reason Edwards has gone this route and he complains as much as he does is because of Towns? He watched his older teammate complain as much as he did, so he felt like, okay, so he's doing it. Yeah. I need to do it too. I think that's a part of what's going on here.
Well, why do you think that? Simply just reacting to what he's seen and thinking it's okay?
Yes, this is his teammate, a guy he looks up to.
But
he's taken Well, yes, he has.
Because
obviously.
with the suspension,
Right.
Cat, when he was playing the petulant card, he got out of it. Finch and the staff, and then guess what? We've talked about it, man, because we've done this a million times. Is Cat stopped with the foul and falling on the ground and making it 5-on-4 the other way. And you know what? He started getting calls. And he started getting more comfortable with the elbows flailing, granted, but driving to the basket and trying to get calls and initiate the contact. He wasn't afraid to do that. Anthony is shooting so many threes, and that's cool, and he's making a fair amount of them. But when stuff, you correct me, man. Correct me if I'm wrong here, because you played it and I didn't at a high level. Is he going to be fearful of going to the basket now, thinking he's not going to get calls? Or is he going to pull back defensively, thinking he's not going to get a 50-50 until he learns to keep his mouth shut? He won't get 50-50s with these refs. Don't you agree? That's how they act.
I don't think he's going to change. I don't think he's going to change as far as the way he plays. I mean, I just think he's wired in a way. I just think it's going to come down to play the same way.
Mm-hmm.
His coaches and teammates are going to tell him the same thing. Mm-hmm. Play the same way. It's just that when it comes to you don't get the whistle, or you get the whistle and you don't like what has just happened by the referee, then just you got to pull back. And his teammates are trying to pull him back and get him physically away from the ref, and he can't help himself.
Right.
So
Well, the can't help himself part's a problem.
Right, yeah.
It is. I don't care how much you make or how many you score, or if you're the face of the Olympic team. I don't care about any of that. This is the now, and the can't control himself part. That's unacceptable. It's just completely unacceptable. So it has to change, and shame on him if he gets a single technical foul the rest of the year. Does it go into the playoffs? The T-bit goes into the playoffs too, right? Yeah. I don't think it resets.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Somebody's got to do some research here.
We'll have that question answered by a week from Sunday when you and I are going to be on the microphone on KFAN calling Wolves and San Antonio Spurs. Alan Horton's getting an opportunity to do the game on TV, I believe, right?
That's right.
So the Wolves contacted me a week and change ago asking me if I'd be interested in filling in. And we've known each other so long, I just knew it was cool to do this. I'm like, yeah, I don't even need to think about it. I'm honored you would ask me. I've never called a basketball game in my life, but I'd love to do it. I love the league. But I'd also like to do it with Kevin Lynch, if you don't mind. So I didn't even ask you. And then I went to Hawaii, and I didn't get any correspondence from the Wolves, so I didn't know if it was happening or not. So you were cool that I just threw you in there without asking?
Yeah, no, totally fine.
Sweet. Yeah. So that's going to be a week from Sunday. I've been in contact not only with Alan Horton, but with Superstats Dave Handlin, the statistician for Alan, just about the nuance and the end of breaks, and this is your Cal Soderquist leader, and we're going to have a conference call on Monday.
Cal Soderquist.
They want me to come to the game on Tuesday and do the second quarter with Alan Horton, I guess, to hear what I sound like, even though it's not play-by-play. And this is going to be, I have no idea how it's going to go. Absolutely. I know we need hand signals.
That's all right.
So there aren't too many clipping penalties here. Nordo's already excited about it.
Can't wait.
He he listened to the hockey games that I did.
The Monday show is booked with bits already.
Come on, man.
In basketball, you don't need a spotter, right? In football, you need a spotter. Do you have somebody there spotting and doing all that kind of stuff?
Well, more so just providing Post-it notes with up-to-date stats.
Okay.
It's 5-on-5, and we know what they all look like. We ain't talking about 11 on 11 here with helmets.
Yeah, they don't wear helmets, so you don't have to look for wristbands and gold cleats and stuff. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we have Bismack Biyombo.
Awesome.
So no Wemby. We have Bismack Biyombo. So you're ready for Bismack. And we also have a player who started to play of late. Oh, goody. I don't wish significant injury on this guy. But, if he could, tweak his ankle the game before the Wolves game and maybe be questionable, then doubtful, then skip it, because he's starting to play all of a sudden. I've never heard of him. Sandro Mamakulashvili. Played 20-some-odd minutes last night, which makes him a potential waiver wire pickup in old LFL.
Well, let's see where that priority sits.
Have you ever heard of him?
You'll have the pronunciation.
I've never heard of him. Yeah, then they have not Steven, but Stefan Castle. All right, Stefan Castle, pretty good, nice rookie.
De'Aaron Fox.
Devin Vassell.
Yeah, or Fox and Paul.
Yeah.
God bless them for easy names and high high basketball IQ and skill set.
Thank you to the parents.
And then we get like Devin Vassell, not Vassell, Vassell. And is it Jeremy Sohan?
Sohan.
Yeah, it's
yes.
Sohan. He's going to be easy to pick out because he dyes his hair. It's like Dennis Schroeder started this with just that little blonde patch, and Sohan took it to a new level and just went all
Dennis
blonde.
What about Dennis Rodman? You're not going to give Dennis Rodman credit for that?
Worm was multicolored before.
He was blonde.
Yeah, he was blonde. Initially. He was multicolored, rainbow, and all the whole thing. So that's going to be a week from Sunday, 7:00, KFAN. Paul Allen and Kevin Lynch filling in for Alan Horton. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Yep. See, we'll have you come by next week. We'll mess around a little more, okay? Kevin Lynch from FanDuel Sports Network. Back after this.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the weekend, but tonight we have the Wolves at Utah and our beloved Wild at the Abs. Best of luck to both squads. Thank you for listening. Welcome back, Nordo. And we will chat on Monday. I'm Paul Allen. You're listening to FM 100.3 KFAN, your Rap on the Show leader.
Big boy's back. Just listen.
Now, what did I do wrong?
The game is over.
The Friday Feast, we're wondering, where's Charch? Busy stretch for the co-host all March. He's dressed to the nines, and he's wearing new chaps, and he's zipping up the mask with the dog ear flaps. Meanwhile, we're back at the ranch. The Vikings fans looking for a new olive branch. Steam off the combine, takes are never scant, but would we prefer Tyler Booker or Kenneth Grant? Oh my goodness, it's too tough to choose. Might be in a spot where the squad can't lose. And then we're on the clock. And Kwesi trades back. Are we hitting a 20 in a hand of blackjack? And ants on the shelf were negative on that. Is he actually worse with the refs than Cat? Man, crazy as it sounds, not trying to be hyperbolic, but can our guy be a bit less vitriolic?
PA? Well, it probably goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't like you.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.